Outside on the balcony, Red tapped my shoulder. Are you getting this? I tapped the pad with my pen. Every word. So the Soldier Sam walkie-talkie was a good idea? I suppose, I admitted grudgingly. Inside, April was explaining her plan. Tomorrow I'll bring poor, scared Mercedes to see Mrs. Quinn, and she'll explain how Herod twisted her arm, but she was too scared to tell. I have learned my part, said Mercedes proudly, just like in drama class. Would everyone like to hear Mercedes' speech? A chorus of, yes, please. Mercedes smiled brightly, climbing onto the footstool. Okay, she said, shaking her fingers. This is a drama exercise to get yourself in the mood. Everyone shake their fingers as though they're hot sausages, and you're trying to cool them down. Soon there was enough finger shaking to cause a breeze. I only noticed that I was shaking too, when Red slapped my hand. You're supposed to be writing. Sorry. As you're shaking, continued Mercedes from her little stage, say, shake, 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 silly supper sausages. That's a vocal exercise. Obviously, we won't be doing this tomorrow, said April, a bit miffed at losing the limelight. Okay, I'll be Principal Quinn, you be you. April folded her arms and deepened her voice. Now, Mercedes, what seems to be the problem? Mercedes stopped shaking. Just a sec, I have to find the well of my emotions. She stared off into the distance until her eyes teared up. Oh, that's very good, said May. Thanks. I'm thinking about my puppy that got eaten by a wolf. May was horrified. Your puppy was eaten by a wolf? Mercedes rolled her bleary eyes. Of course not, silly. I'm an actress. Now, Mademoiselle President, I'm ready. Are you sure we won't have time for all this tomorrow? I'm sure. Quick, before I remember that I never had a puppy. Now, Mercedes, said April a touch grumpily. What seems to be the problem? Oh, Principal, gushed Mercedes, I can't tell. My good and responsible friend April made me come here, but he will kill me if I tell. Who will kill you? Herod Sharkey. Oh no, I said his name. He'll know. The boy is the devil. April placed her hands on her hip. I might have known. Herod Sharkey, what has he done now? Please, Principal Quinn, you're a woman. You understand how it is in this man's world. We suffer in silence. Not in my school, young lady. Now tell me what Herod did. Tell me this instant. Mercedes, dramatically and with much wincing, revealed the bruises on her arm. He gave me a skin burn, Principal Quinn. He thinks it's funny. Well, I never, said April, Principal Quinn. This is disgraceful. I will expel him immediately. Blah, blah, blah. Herod's history, another victory for les genus étudiants. Mercedes bowed modestly to an enthusiastic round of applause. We have tried to remove Herod before, but his brother Red seems to be always to show up in the nick of time, like a red-headed guardian angel. May snorted with laughter. Good one, red-headed guardian angel. I'll have to tell Red that. That is not a joke, May. Red has destroyed my plans more than once, but not this time. Because of Boffy's hair, said Mercedes, who couldn't bear to give up the spotlight. April took a laminated curl of hair from her pocket. Yes, Boffy kindly donated this lock of fake Shauna's hair, which I have planned to plant into Red's gear bag. But Red got himself suspended all on his own, and by the time he comes back, it will be too late for little Herod. We will have washed our hands of him. More applause. While they were clapping, I caught up with my note-taking. Herod is history, I muttered. Another victory for les genus étudiants. This is dynamite. Red clapped me on the back. We've got to get this to your friend Mert. One look at Queen April's clipboard should put us both in the clear. I was certain of it. My gut told me that les genus étudiants, various activities, would tie it with our own criminal record. But nothing was concrete yet. I would have to give Mert a few hours to match the crimes to the criminals. Anyway, maybe April would make it easier on us and confess a few more stunts. But at that moment, the batteries ran low on the second Soldier Sam unit, the one inside the unicorn room. "More power," said the walkie-talkie. "Soldier Sam needs more power, soldier." "Oops," said Red. "I think we're busted." April Devereaux tracked the noise like a cat tracking the squeak of a wounded mouse. She pounced on the walkie-talkie. She stared at it for a moment, wondering how it had gotten on her bed. What was it doing there? I scrambled to my feet. That girl was smarter than I had thought. She would figure it out. Sure enough, the truth dawned on April. "Someone's listening!" she screeched. "Someone is spying on us, sisters." This was too much for Red. He clapped his hands and squealed in fake falsetto. "Someone is spying on us, sisters." "There," shouted April, pointing, "on the balcony. Boys!" Boys, they howled the world like banshees from the darkest corner of limbo. "That doesn't sound very friendly," said Red, glancing back at me. I swear he was grinning. Grinning. "Come on, Half Moon, cheer up. They're only little girls." Only little girls, true, but I saw under the crook of my arm that April was handing out junior golf clubs like rifles from a rack. Her voice crackled with static over the dying speaker. "Get them. They're burglars, so it's okay to hurt them as long as it's accidental." "Hurt us? Who were these girls?" "Come on, Red, we need to go. If we get into a fight with a group of 10-year-old girls outside their bedroom, we're going to look like the bad guys." Red's chuckles rattled to a stop like a faulty motor. He knew exactly how the police would see this. Red Sharkey casing another house to break in. Social service would have him in a home faster than you could recite Les Jeunes Étudiants Credo. Red grabbed a unicorn horn, swinging up onto the railing. "Okay, we go, but we're not running away. We're making a tactical retreat," I offered. "A tactical retreat," muttered Red, following by a groan. The French doors opened behind us. Girls poured out like beetles from a crack in the wall. Their clubs were raised and their eyes were bright. April spearheaded the attack. I noticed for the first time that she had all her grown-up teeth, and they seemed really big in that tiny mouth, especially when she was snarling. "Come on," shouted Red, grabbing my collar. April's club swished as she swung. It was a putter. Graphite shaft. Amazing what you notice. That steel head could do some real damage to a person's head. Fortunately, the putter missed my head, but it did whack me on the shoulder, giving me a dead arm. "Ow!" I shouted. "Hey, watch it!" "They're just flesh and bone!" shrieked April triumphantly. "This can't be happening. This can't be real." Then Red had me by the collar, swinging me out over the balcony into space. "Grab the ivy," he grunted. I reached for the creeper with my good hand. I had it, too, in my grasp. We could have escaped. Then I heard two things. A metallic twang like you get when you bang a taut steel cable with a stick, and Red's voice saying softly, "Oh no." Neither of these sounds were encouraging. Suddenly, Red was not holding us up anymore. We fell fast and hard. There wasn't time for my life to flash before me. My shoulders scraped the wall. I saw the moon, and then I was up to my ears in gravel. Not too bad, I thought. Then Red landed on top of me. I felt like a cartoon character who had just been hit by an anvil. I didn't lose consciousness altogether, but I lost the ability to do anything. Things happened around me that I could not connect with. It was like watching a movie from inside a fish tank. There were girls and gravel crunching and whispering. "Alive! They're alive! Shut up, Daddy! My daddy will hear you." "Should we?" "No, Mercedes. No need for that. Grab their ankles." "That's Red Sharky. They're both Sharkies." How much did they hear? Doesn't matter. Who's going to believe dirty, smelly sharkies? I was lying on a beach in the surf. An undertow dragged me across the pebbles. Maybe. That's how it felt. My shirt rode up and stones gathered between my shoulder blades. My head flopped sideways and Red was inches away. His face was covered in red. His whole face. I knew I was... Chapter 11, The Power of Magnetism. I knew I was underground before my eyes confirmed it. Something about the deadness of the air. I was lying on a stone floor, a tiny stream of water pooling at my neck. A dozen skinny girl legs swayed in my vision like reeds on a riverbank. "What now?" said a voice. They were still talking. Why couldn't they shut up? I had a headache. "We can't wait until morning, sisters. I have to go now to Principal Quinn's house. Daddy will take me. He does whatever I say." "But what about those boys? Red is hurt." "May, I don't think you understand what les jeunesses étudiants are all about. We hate boys. Especially sharkies. Especially burglar sharkies. Dad will find these two down here tomorrow and the police can take them away. They're going to prison eventually anyway. We just like accelerating the process." "But he's bleeding." "I wonder if I could divorce you, May. Can you divorce cousins?" The girls left, moving up cement steps through a square of moonlight. A wooden door banged into the space, and a bolt rasped across. I was left in total darkness, which was good. I needed to sneeze. I turned my face to the tiny stream on the floor and had a little drink. Cool, a bit greedy, but fine. Now to sleep. Something about what happened nagged at me, keeping me awake. April knew who I was. She had seen through my disguise before, so why pretend now that I was a sharky? The answer came quickly, even though through the fog surrounding my brain. Nobody cared what happened to sharkies. Nobody would argue with her plan to lock two sharkies in a cellar. "Ah," said a voice, "my head is on fire." I opened one eye. Red's head was floating in the blackness, a disembodied head with blood dripping from the chin. "Red," I said, "where's your body?" The head chuckled, then winced. Ghostly fingers touched a cut on a ghostly head. I really gave myself a whack. I noticed a flashlight under the spirit's head. Then the rest of Red's body swam into my view. "You're not a ghost," I said, relieved. Red beamed the flashlight along the wall until he found a light switch. "You better get a grip, Half Moon," he said, flicking the switch. What seemed to be a blinding glare filled the room. It eventually settled to a watery 40-watt glow. "You heard what they said. We need to get out of here before they get to Mrs. Quinn's, or Roddy is up the creek." I squeezed my head until the stars disappeared. "Who's up the creek?" Roddy, keep up, Half Moon." My vision was clearing a bit. Reddy, Roddy, there's only one letter in the difference. That's confusing when a person is possibly concussioned. Red ignored me, shining the flashlight into his backpack. "You brought a flashlight? And antiseptic wipes?" said Red, mopping his forehead with one. "We're on stakeout, remember?" "Technically, we're not on stakeout anymore," I pointed out. "Technically, we're being held prisoner by a bunch of 10-year-old girls." "No one must ever know about this," said Red, who looked a lot better now that his face wasn't completely covered with blood. "I have a reputation to consider. If word gets out that I've been locked up by a shower of 5th-grade girls, every hard man looking to make a name for himself will come gunning for me." I took a look around. We were in a coal cellar constructed from steel and concrete. It had probably once been an oil tank, but April's father had converted it. The cellar's rear wall was piled high with coal nuggets. The thick black dust floated through the pale yellow air. There was one wooden door, and it was, of course, locked. Red checked his cell phone for bars. No reception in here. We have to get out. He tried the caveman method, battering the door with his palms and shoulder. The door didn't open, but the banging did disturb more coal dust and sonic waves of hollow booming echoing around the chamber. Just what we needed. The booming subsided, and we were left with the sound of Red panting. Less of the panting, I said. This place could be airtight. I scanned the walls and roof. There was no way to break out unless Red had a police battering ram hidden in his magic backpack. Red kicked the door a few times. More dust and still no open door. I coughed loudly to highlight the dust problem. Red, that's not going to do us a bit of good, you know. Red whirled. His features were wild. I had never seen him this maniac before, not even when he had me pinned to the ground. I have to get out, he hissed through clenched teeth. Sweat was running down his face, washing away coal dust and blood. Roddy needs me. I promised Mom I'd look out for him. If he gets kicked out of school, he'll end up in the pool hall with Ernie. Red crossed the bunker in 2 bounds. You're the brains. Think of something. Red's eyes were veined from dust and possible tears. Okay, I'll try. What do you have in the bag? Red emptied the backpack contents onto the concrete. A couple of cereal bars, my ski mask, and a pair of tights. I lost the grapple hook. I had to ask, tights? You know, for over your head in case you need a disguise. Oh, I think I'm disguised enough, actually, with the hair and the earring and the tattoo. I spotted something on the floor. What's that? Red picked up an iron spike. It's a horn from one of the unicorns on the balcony. It snapped off, that's why we fell. So I suppose your man on the balcony is technically a horse now. The horn was a foot long and tapered to a dangerous spike, still painted dark green. It's a pity it isn't magnetic, I said. Why? Well, if it were magnetic, then we might be able to draw back the bolt on the outside of the door, possibly, in theory. Red handed me the spike. Can you turn it into a magnet? Well, in a laboratory I could place it inside a magnetic field or pass a current through it. Then the horn will become magnetic. I said this very confidently, as there was no chance that we could actually do it. In fact, all I knew about magnets for sure was that you could drag iron filings around a sheet of paper with them. Red grew immediately excited. We can pass a current through it. I paled under my coating of coal dust. What? The light bulb. All we need to do is pull out the wires. That sounded extremely dangerous. We were more likely to send the horn ricocheting across the cellar than turn it into a magnet. I don't know, Red. I'm not sure about polarity and all that stuff. We have to try something, Half Moon. I promised Mom. Don't you understand? I promised. I couldn't even begin to imagine what a promise like that meant, but it obviously had a strong hold on Red. Okay, but don't touch the actual wires, and don't let them touch each other. That much I do know for sure. Red switched off the light and handed the flashlight to me. He then yanked the supply cable from the clips and attached it to the wall and ceiling. Red switched off the light and handed the flashlight to me. He then yanked the supply cable from the clips attached to the wall and the ceiling. Okay, he said, holding the cable away from his body. What next? I trained the flashlight on him. Well, in theory, maybe I turned on the switch, then you zapped the bar. That should do it. If I were you, I wouldn't stand in front of the pointy end of the horn. You never know where the electrical charge will send it. You could zap it, suggested Red. True, I admitted, but then we'd have to wait a couple of weeks while I worked up the nerve. Red took a deep breath. Okay, zap time. Just touching it? Yes, I think. I'm no expert, but there may be some jittering. Jittering? What do you mean? You know when the power flows into the horn, try to hold it steady. Red swallowed. He was nervous but determined. Okay, flick the switch when I give you the signal. What signal? For a moment, Red took a moment out from being nervous to deliver a withering comment. Oh, I don't know. I'll say something like, flick the switch. Right, I'll see if I can remember that. Red knelt beside the spike, making sure the copper wire inside the cable had firm contact with the metal horn. Right, Half Moon, flick the switch. Every muscle and tendon in my body was tense. My shoulders hunched and my eyes squinted. My toes and fingers locked, and all the injuries of the past few days returned to chip away at the pain center of my brain. I flicked the switch and nothing happened. Red might as well have been rubbing the horn with a twig. Is that it? He asked. Keep it there for a minute. I walked over to him. Did you hear that? Sorry, I was nervous. No, not that. Did you hear a buzzing sound? Red leaned closer to the unicorn horn. Maybe. I think it's just the wire scratching the metal. My hand is shaking a bit. But I know, don't tell anyone. Red threw down the cable. So, is this magnetic now? I studied the horn in the torchlight. It looked exactly the same. I don't know. Give it a try. And I won't get a shock? Allegedly not, I said, covering myself against a possible lawsuit. Red poked the bar with a single finger. It's a bit warm, I think. He fluttered his fingers over the metal and grasped it gingerly. No shock, let's test it. Red hefted the spike and crossed to the door. Shine the light here, Half Moon, he said. I showed the beam on the door. There was a damp line across the center. That must be where the bolt is, I said. Water gets trapped behind it and seeps through over the years.